Hello and welcome to the Lit Gals. We are excited to have you here the month of October, the month of pretty fall leaves and warm apple cider. And I was looking at the fire pit in my backyard today thinking, that looks pretty awesome about right now. So we are glad to have you. I am Marty Hoover, the digital content manager for Keep Indiana Learning. And I'm not going to say anything about the theme. We'll get to that theme in just a second for today's show. But Anna, would you like, well, let me just preface this with Anna is suffering from some laryngitis, but we think she can make it through the show.
Anna. Yeah, I'm not trying to impersonate any, star or anything with this voice, but yes, hello. My name is Anna Cook, and I am a literacy specialist and just spreading joy and cheer of literacy all over the state of Indiana and other states.
And I am Morgan Mason. I am a professional learning specialist for Keep Indiana Learning, and I have so been looking forward to this conversation. When we first started brainstorming themes for each month, this is one that I was really excited about. So today we are going to be talking about books that have been turned into movies or shows. So we have lots of good picks, in my opinion. And Anna, I'm so glad that you were able to join us and didn't have to miss today because I'm excited to talk about yours as well. But I will kick us off, and the books that have been turned into movies that I want to share about. The first one is a popular one. It's been all over recently. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Mm-hmm. So it is Blake Lively stars in the movie. And I read this book, gosh, it's been a couple years ago at this point that I read the book, loved the book. I think that was one of the first Colleen Hoover books that I read, and kind of went on a Colleen Hoover kick from there. I've loved a lot of her books, but I was really looking forward to this movie, and it did not disappoint. Mm-hmm. I know that oftentimes, there's usually a strong opinion from audience members, especially if they've read books, that they either love the movie adaptation or they hate it. Yeah. But I loved this movie adaptation. I thought that it was very well done. Yes, it was different in a lot of ways than the book was, but I thought it was so good. And I think that overall, it seemed like most people enjoyed it. I think that it was overwhelmingly positive as far as the movie itself went. If you're interested in going down like a TikTok or Reddit rabbit hole, there was some drama with a lot of the cast members, it seems, but that's not for here. But if you're interested in that.
So Morgan, was that what most of it was about, was between the cast members? It wasn't necessarily about the book versus the movie?
Yes. Okay. Based on my own research and my own rabbit hole, it wasn't the movie itself. Like, people seem to have really enjoyed the movie. It was more some issues with some of the cast members and some of the way things were handled in creating this movie that caused some issues. So it's interesting. But overall, the movie was great. And I was just telling the ladies right before we came on here that I'm so excited. I also have to share this, that The Housemaid by Frida McFadden it's just been announced that is also going to be turned into a movie with some big name actresses. So I'm very excited and looking forward to that as well, because I loved that book. That's one of 3.
So Morgan, let me ask you about that one. I have just recently heard about this book. Yeah. I think it's been out for a little while, but it just has recently crossed my path. I've not read it. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about what kind of genre it is? Because I think I have maybe one idea in my head, and I'm not sure it's an accurate portrayal of what the book is.
Yeah, so it's like a thriller mystery vibe. It's one of those that keeps you guessing the whole time, and then it has this insane twist at the end. So I won't say any more than that, except that it is a really good, quick read.
Not scary?
No, not scary.
Okay.
Not scary. Not like spooky or anything like that, but definitely intense, and like the characters, you don't expect what ends up happening.
Okay.
Now, are they going to stream this, or is it going to be on a streaming, or is it going to be at the movies?
No, that's a good question. I don't even know if they've gotten that far. It was just announced. I want to say it was just last week that they announced that they have a director, they have the two main characters. So that's going to be interesting to see, because It Ends With Us was in the theaters.
Right.
And I don't even think it's available to stream yet. It's one of those that eventually there will be able to, but so those were my picks. I mean, there were so many that I could have chosen. But that's what I'll focus on today. So Marty, what about you? What book did you bring to share?
Okay. So I am not a movie person. I just need to say that up front. And I have been dreading this show as much as you've been excited about it, Morgan. I have been dreading it because I'm just not a movie watcher. And so because I'd rather read books. I mean, that's what it is. I'd rather read. And so I'm like, what am I going to talk about? Well, I ended up coming up with two. They are radically different, but so I'll start with the adult one. Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. So this is a nonfiction book, which you think, well, that makes an interesting movie. And it did. This book is worthy of a read. You learn volumes. It's heartbreaking. The way the Osage Indians were treated. It's a great book. Thrilled I read it. Then I went to the movies to see it with some friends who had read the book or listened to it. I don't remember exactly. And then my husband, who had done nothing with it. And he was confused. He spent the whole movie leaning over to me like, why do I care? What's going on here? What am I supposed to get from this? So it was a challenge for him to just jump into the movie because I believe it's a Martin Scorsese film. And he takes a pretty artistic approach to things, as Martin Scorsese does. And I mean, he sticks to the main story. I feel like, Anna, don't you, that he sticks to the story?
Yes. But if you do not have a background regarding Native Americans or the Osage, then it's going to be hard, and you're going to be a tutor. For whoever you're watching it with.
Yes, I agree. Or you're going to watch it at home where you're pausing it often and like doing some background research like as you watch it. That might be an interesting way to do it. I will say, though, I saw David Grann speak just before the movie came out, and he had been on set. He had been to a couple of premieres of the movie, and what his take on it was, when, that people ask, do you feel like Martin Scorsese stayed true to your text? And he's like, I didn't expect him to. He was making his form of art, and I am journalistically telling what happened. They're radically different approaches to what happened. So I thought that's a great way. That's a good lens, I feel like, to look at books and movies. Is they're not meant to be the same thing. They're two different styles of art about a similar topic.
Yeah. I love that. And I feel like if you go in with that mindset, then you're not going to be disappointed necessarily, because I think oftentimes you read a book and then you're like, oh, they ruined that in the movie. And it's like, well, no, it was a different perspective, or it was a different take on a similar story, but not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, so now the radical departure from a nonfiction text of hundreds of pages with thousands of endnotes. A picture book. The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lessmore. I know it's a very long title. It's a very wide.
Heard of that book.
I haven't either.
Okay, okay. I couldn't get it from the library fast enough because I just thought about this book the other day. So I actually bought a copy because I love this book so much. So there's that little note.
Which is huge.
Right. For me to buy a book is huge. So this is a picture book that I would end the school year with every year with my 7th graders. There's a short film of this. And when I was reading about it, it sounds like the movie came first because there was all kinds of production issues with the book, including Hurricane Katrina came along and caused problems with the book writing. And so the movie was taking off at its own little pace. And then the book finally caught up. It's an Academy Award winning short film. The film is like 10 minutes. There are no words. and it's stunning. Oh, my 7th graders riveted watching. Now, I would read it first, and then we would watch it on the last day of school. And it's about the power of books and the importance of being a reader. And for me, it felt like a good way to send them off into the world and like, this is my hope for you. But I highly recommend this book. And I mean, like I said, the pictures.
I've never seen it.
I mean, the pictures
Look at that.
are just beautiful. And the film itself is every bit as beautiful. So there's my 2 could not be more different texts for this topic. So there you go.
Marty, so where do we find the short film? Is it on a streaming service?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay, cool.
Just look up the Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lessmore. The worst part is trying to remember the title. It's so long, but Fantastic Flying Books, and you find it on YouTube.
Okay,
and it's beautiful.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Great question. Thanks, Morgan. So, Anna, what do you have for us?
So, Marty, you are our producer.
Yeah.
So, is there any way that you can take the last month's filming and bring it back? Because if you remember the book that I was reading, I held it up by Hilderbrand, and I said, stop me. I'm not going to read anymore. I promise I'm not going to do it till next
I won't bring her up again.
And what's she about to do?
Bring it back up. So, okay. So, if you remember, only because I've talked about it in 3 or 4 of our live streams, The Perfect Couple. So, I, of course, read The Perfect Couple. And if you remember, I was even in Cape Cod where they were filming The Perfect Couple. And when you finish reading that book, in your mind's eye, I mean, it is the most perfect movie that you could ever imagine, with the scenery, etc. The most perfect movie. And I think what really threw people off was that it became a series, if you will. I think there were 7 or 9 episodes.
Yeah.
And so everybody was like, what? Because of course it had to change.
Right.
There was no way that book could have been 7 or 9, series long. And so there lied the controversy about that whole thing, was that everybody in their mind had the perfect movie for that Perfect Couple book. And it wasn't. And Hilderbrand, of course, she did numerous interviews. And one of them I heard, and I'm just paraphrasing, I'm not saying verbatim what she said, but she said that exactly what you said with Killers of the Flowering Moon and Martin Scorsese is that, she had to let it go and let that artistic end take over and see what could be produced. She was there and she helped out a lot, but she said she knew she had to let it go and see what they could produce. Yeah. And then she said, which I thought, touche for her on her part. She said, if you loved the book so much, you could read it again.
Quick plug for herself.
Yeah. Which is true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And so after I heard that interview and after I really thought about it, I thought she's right. I mean, that would have been a perfect movie, but not the best series. They had to have done something different to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay. So that's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
It's on
so
Netflix. And I think that it's been number one. Morgan,
Yeah.
didn't you say that you just read it or watched it?
I just watched it a couple weeks ago. But
Yeah.
I think it just maybe got knocked out of the number one spot, but
Yeah.
it's been number one for shows for a while.
Long time.
Okay,
It's
so
not good.
yeah, I've seen it on my scroll. So that's what I was going to ask. So do you feel like it's worth watching? Both of you sounds like you've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was
The
really.
only- Go ahead, Morgan.
I think that it was really like it captivates you. It keeps you
Yeah,
entertained.
it does.
And I was telling Anna that I read the book so long ago that I wasn't comparing like, oh, they changed this or they did that. Like I didn't even really remember how it ended. So it was I didn't, those things didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the first one. Of course, you knew I was going to do that one. And then this one is my all-time favorite book. As a matter of fact, I had to buy a new copy because my original copy is so tattered and torn. It's under lock and key now because it has been through not only 13 years of reading it for my class, but also Alexandra, all of her friends, and my grandsons. So this one is called Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. Everybody that is a teacher, I'm sure, has already read this. I love this book. And when I heard that it was a movie, I thought, how could they make a movie out of this? Because this is a short read. And it's quick. And it just talks about his bad day. And I thought, how could they have made this into a movie? Well, I watched the movie. It's on Disney Plus.
Okay.
And this is a case where they had to have that creative bend. They had to explore. They had to let it go and see what path it took. And boy, did it ever take a lovely, lovely path. I loved the movie. The movie is with Jennifer Garner and Steve Carell. Thank you. And it was fabulous. But the thing that I love the most is that there was a moral to the story, and it really hit home the family as a nuclear piece to your life and how important they are. And you know that everybody has bad days, even those that are the most popular, the most, you know, the prettiest, the most outstanding. They've got bad days too. It was just a lovely movie, a lovely movie. I would say that it would be really good for third grade on up, even middle school, Marty, even middle school. Yeah. I thought about my fourth grade grandson, and I thought, I think he'd really like this. He'd really like this movie. So once again, it was the direct opposite of what I thought, you know, The Perfect Couple should have been. And they really went, you know, they went off on a tangent, but it was excellent. It was just excellent. So those are my two. They were pretty different as well, Marty.
They were very different. So I don't know. I think sometimes as language arts people, reading people, we get a little dogmatic. I was trying to figure out what word I wanted to use. We get a little dogmatic about you have to read the book. The movie's never going to be as good. I mean, how many teachers don't even assign books because there have been movies made of them and they think kids are going to take the cop out, watch the movie? Why not just embrace that they're different forms of art and look at them that way? Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And that is definitely something that I learned this summer, you know, with The Perfect Couple.
Yeah. And I had never thought about it until I heard David Grann say it. And I'm like, you know what? He's right.
Yeah.
Let's just let them exist in their own spaces and be what they are.
Right.
And not try to compare them. It's almost like our children. We don't want to compare them to each other.
Yeah.
So just let them be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm gonna remember that.
So Morgan, what you reading right now or listening to for you? It's often both.
Yes, both right now. I'm actually listening to, and I just started it yesterday, but when I tell you, it's one of those books that hooks you right away. I think it was your recommendation last time, Marty. Silent Sister by Megan Davidhizar.
Yes.
Hooked immediately. So
Yes.
I've been listening to it every chance I've gotten.
So are you listening to it, Morgan?
Yes, I'm listening to this one.
On Libby?
Yep, found it on Libby. So I'm really excited about that one, and I'll probably finish it in the next 2 days. But then I'm also reading a book. I am reading Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score.
Yeah.
Have you read that one?
No, but I've heard so many things about it.
It's the third in the series. And so I've read the other two, and it's very different because people always ask me, like, how do you listen to and read a book at the same time? But they're so different. So this one I'm listening to is like a mystery. This one is like a feel-good romance novel. So I feel like that allows my brain to keep them totally separate and I don't get confused. But this one is the third in the series. I will say it's a little cheesy, the stories.
It's okay.
But Anna, I'm in good company. I know. But it's one of those things that I pick up at the end of the day. I'll read a couple chapters before bed, like just to turn my brain off. So I'm enjoying that one too. It's a thick one, so it's taken me a little time to get through it because I get tired. But so that's what I am reading and listening to right now.
Love it. And Morgan, I can so relate. My junior year of college, I was in 4 literature classes at the same time. 0 out of 10 people recommend doing that. Yeah. However, the books were so different that I was reading. Like I was in a British Lit to the year 1600. So we're talking like really old stuff I was reading. And then I had a short story class, and I don't remember what the other 2 were, but they were so different that keeping them straight wasn't a problem. Finding time to read it all was the problem, but keeping them straight. Yeah, I agree with you. Just find different styles of books.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Anna, what are you reading or listening to?
So I am reading The Language of Breath. I just went on a retreat for breath work. Kind of coupled with meditation, etc. And you guys are not going to believe this because this is definitely not, in my character, it's very out of character for Anna. But I went on not 1, not 2, but 3 cold plunges.
Oof.
Yes, 3. And it, of course, we learned more about breath work and proper breathing, etc., before we did our cold plunges. But this is, the author was there. And so I got his book, but I'm really happy that I did get it because it, just talks about different types of breath work to do, for relaxation or anxiety or focus, just those different types. And so this is really it's a good book. I know you guys are thinking, oh my gosh, what is she doing? But it really was good. It was good. The retreat was wonderful. So cold plunge and a cook.
So are you going to buy one for your house now?
No. But I heard, they're all the rave now. Yeah. Everybody, getting a cold plunge, tub.
Yeah. I have some friends that have one in their garage.
Really?
Yeah. She asked me if I wanted to try it, and I was like, I'm good. Thank you.
So you can't, where I went, you cannot go in and then jump out. You have to stay in for 90 seconds at least.
Wow.
That just makes me
90
cold thinking
seconds.
about it.
I know, that's what I'm thinking, Morgan. I would never get warm again.
And it was outside and the wind was blowing and everything. And oh my gosh. But yeah.
You're really selling us on this.
Wow.
I'm trying.
But Anna, so what I find interesting about your book is that it feels like it fits you with the self-help style of books, but like this is with a different twist. So I'm fascinated just by the book. It's, itself, this idea that the language of breath. I don't know. I'm fascinated. Yeah.
And there is different ways of breathing for different situations.
Had no idea. Well, what I'm reading right now is called Reconnected by Carlos Whitaker. He's an Instagram guy that I follow, and he has a lot of courageous conversations on his Instagram account, which I really appreciate. But this book, and I bought it, and so that right there says something, that if Marty bought a book. So
another one, Morgan.
I know.
Another one.
So I bought all 3 books that I talked about today. I don't know what's going on with me. But anyway, so this one, what he does is he spent 7 weeks screen free. 2 of them living in a monastery in California, 2 of them living on an Amish farm in Ohio, and that doesn't add up to 7. So there's some different math going on there. But then some of it was after he got back home, because he wanted to live part of his like normal life screen free as well. And
where was home for him?
Where is home? Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So what he also did was he did a brain scan before he started, and then he's doing a brain scan at the end and comparing the results, which I'm not to the end of the book. I don't know. He's been on the Amish farm for like, I don't know, 2 days maybe. He's currently lost riding his bicycle because he has no GPS, and he's supposed to go pick up some parts for the Amish guy he works with, and so he's lost. So just thinking about like, how do you function without a GPS? So what he does though is in each chapter he has like a major takeaway, and the chapters are pretty short. It's a really approachable book, and I am not a self-help kind of book reader, but it feels like that's kind of what this book is. But oh man, it's making me think, and I'm loving it. So it's called Reconnected by Carlos Whitaker. So,
really cool.
So there's my book for today.
Marty, I did a lot of work in around the Amish area in Indiana, and I've got to tell you, those 2 years were pretty fabulous.
That's the impression I'm getting.
I can't wait for you to read the end, because I also attended a conference about the brain and how it can adapt and change, etc.
Yeah. So it's not my normal style of read, but man, I'm liking it. It's making me think. And that's a good thing. So
I want to hear what you think when you finish.
Okay. Yeah, I've got 50-ish pages left, so we'll be done soon. All right. Well, this is the fastest. The Kentucky Derby is the fastest 2 minutes in sports. This is the fastest 25, 28, whatever it is, minutes of our month. So here we are at the end of another episode of the Lit Gal. So I got to say to my Lit Gal friends, thanks for making this episode that I was dreading so much fun. I appreciate it.
It was fun.
You were welcome.
Yes. And I'm very excited, Morgan, about next month's episode, which is very timely. We're going to talk about food, which fits in November. So I'm very excited about the books I'm going to share. So come back next month, and books all about food. So as always, be well.
Do good work.
And keep in touch.